Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, and if you're listening, do the same. I love bringing on fellow site owners. This is like the language I talk. This is a big segment of the audience. We have Maya Pudi on. She's got two sites, two relatively big sites. She's gonna be humble and modest and say they're not that big. I mean, I guess you're still considered small. Uh, but for all intents and purposes, she's one of the bigger small sites out there. How about that? And she's got two, not just one,
Yeah.
two. One is in Vegas where she resides, right? You
Yes.
live there, and one in Dallas suburbs. Which part of Dallas again?
It's called Sherman. It is like 45 minutes north of Dallas.
North, so like
Near
Plano.
Oklahoma. Yes, north of Plano, pretty much on the Oklahoma border. So I get,
Ah, okay. You're approaching Brad Hightower territory.
oh, gotta be
But
careful.
he's moving towards Arkansas.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he's expanding like towards Arkansas. There's maybe we can talk about the markets between Vegas and Dallas because I know in Dallas there's a lot of sites.
Yeah.
Vegas, I don't know. I was actually talking to Lana about Vegas. There's
Mm.
not that many sites, or there like what's the landscape there for research sites in Vegas?
The landscape is there's plenty of phase one. I don't do phase one, I do phase two through four. Um, I would say there's maybe like a core of five that have been here maybe 5 to 10 years, and then there's always some popping up, crashing, popping up, crashing, that kind of community.
Nothing
Um,
stable. Like there's like how long has your site been open?
we've
Oh,
been open since 2018, and
okay.
in 2018 we were respiratory and just starting into cardiology, and pandemic, a lot of things changed. We tried to diversify as much as we can, got into gastro, infectious disease, um, did one or two vaccine studies, but nothing crazy. Um,
Are you a fan of the vaccine studies or no?
I mean, pros and cons. If you have that healthy population, right? I mean, you can get tons of people in Vegas that are going to be into making some quick cash, of course. Um,
Place
but
to do
I,
it.
that's the place to do it. Um, but I think maybe because of my background, I just like chronic disease, long-term studies where we're seeing them every month. I think it's
Me
a preference.
Me too. Yeah, I've only done one vaccine study in my career, and I think we enrolled like three patients, and other sites were doing like 100. So I like the chronic disease type of studies too, like the long-term trials.
Yeah, it's nice
So
to
how did you get started in this? Let's go back to like
go.
your origin story and what got you into research in the first place.
Oh. Um, so my parents, I am a product of nepotism, Dan. That's the only way
Uh,
I can be this young and be doing this. So my
well, I kind of am too. So
oh yeah, cool. My dad was a PI between 2001 and 2016. He's an internal medicine doctor, and my mom is an RN, and was a site director. So in South Carolina, that's where I grew up. They
South
had,
Carolina, okay.
yeah, all the way on the East Coast. They had five centers. So it's a big place for COPD, asthma, diabetes
Yep.
research. It was incredible for them. We had a center in like Atlanta, Greenville, South Carolina, Anderson, Seneca, Easley, and I basically each site was an hour away from each other, so we got a unique population.
Okay. And
And
then
then
so you got started at that clinic.
yeah, so I went to NYU for college, got a master's, was pre-med minded, but always loved clinical research. I was, that only child that was at their parents' place of work trying to help out and put holes for paper and file, um, managing the QuickBooks. So when I graduated from my master's, I opened the Anderson Medical Research Center. I had never been a research coordinator before, so I was like taught by my dad and taught by my mom, who had gone through FDA audits with flying color sponsor audits. were friends with ex-FDA auditors. So I really got a very painful crash course in clinical research. And it was just me and one other coordinator for 2 years. And then we started growing and doing around 10 studies, just actively
So this
enrolling.
was your own site when you started
My
your own.
site. Mm-hmm.
I
And
see.
then 2016, I moved to Texas, and then 2018 in Las Vegas.
Ah, okay. Why'd you
Yeah.
move to Texas? Did you have like any reasons to start a site there or?
My parents were soft retiring, so sold their clinical research companies there. And I mean, I knew some physicians in Texas. That was my main reason for moving, and another physician in Las Vegas. Because
Ah,
I
okay.
think like to start fresh all alone in the world is really, really tough. If you can infiltrate into a physician's office, that's gold. Because who can afford advertising in the beginning? It's really tough.
Shout out to patientace.com.
Yes, shout out to Patient Ace. I've heard they're very affordable.
Yeah,
And
we'll get you on it. Lana's expert. She actually knows much more about it than me, and I'm one of the co-owners. But she's very good at like following up on the leads. The next step is like automating the workflow, which it's like at advanced levels, but we'll get there.
yeah.
Um, it sounds similar to my background, except my site was never like my dad was a PI and I was
Mm.
pre-med. He was a
Uh-huh.
psychiatrist, and then him and like four other doctors wanted to get away from USC and do their own research. So they opened the one in Orange County. And that was right when I finished school and I wanted to get to med school. And he was like, yeah, I don't know what they do here, but just intern and it'll look good on your resume. So I
Yeah.
did. And when I did, there was like four other coordinators. And then week 3 or 4, I was there. All the coordinators walked out. And I was like, what's going on? Where's everyone going? They're like, we haven't got paid in like a month. We're out of here. And
Oh.
like it turns out the person my dad hired, him and these other doctors to run the site, were stealing money and
Oh.
making like another account to siphon the funds. So none of the staff were getting paid. So my dad told me, hey, you gotta go get a real job or you can take over this, but there's nothing like, it's just there was 2 ongoing studies and no money. So I had to
Yeah.
work free. So that's how I learned. I learned, and I knew nothing
That's
when I
nice.
was interning there. They had me go buy dry ice and get like McDonald's for the patients. So
Yeah.
I wasn't doing real coordinating work. And then they all just left. And I had to learn like I didn't even know who the patients were. We didn't have Creo. So I would
Hmm.
just sit in the waiting room and see if someone showed up
No,
and
damn.
what study they were in. Like I would show them the bottles.
Yeah.
One is yours. And then I knew what
And no.
they were in. So similar, but I mean, we both kind of got our start
Yeah.
family, which is kind of one of the cool things about this industry because a lot of the CRAs I talk to, they get their kids involved and same with side owners, it's a family thing. So I think there's something special about that family business in
Yes.
America still.
Mhm.
But that's a cool way to get started. So then you went out on your own. You started your own, then you moved to Dallas, and then
Yes.
Vegas 2 years after that. And now you still have both sites.
I do. I am so, so lucky that before the pandemic hit, my accomplice, Morgan Whitson from the Sherman site, she was ready to take the reins as site manager in 2020. And that's the only way I could full time move out here and support the staff here.
Ah, okay.
I lost them all in 2020 because they all had children at home and did not want to be in a patient facing job. So I moved out here thinking I was just going to direct, oversee, manage. And it was like, okay, here's a bunch of NASH studies. And I was like, I've only done respiratory. So I learned really, really, really quick. Um, and I think that's probably like the most useful experience I've had in my life to just be alone in office, have nobody, just like you. And what can you do? And then,
Build
but
systems from there. So now, fast forward to today, your site. Let's go with the one in Vegas and talk about Dallas after. But the one in Vegas, like, it's amazing how many studies you guys do a year. What was that number you told me?
I mean, my goal is to have like 10 to 15 actively enrolling studies a year. Um, I think right now we're around 12, and
Yeah,
it's been hard. I think I've learned to be more choosy as we've been maturing. And I mean, I would do a lot of Crohn's disease studies and ulcerative colitis and spend a lot begging for patients from my PIs. And, you know, we've completely like turned the switch. We're going for the big things like NASH and COPD and asthma. But yeah, I'm much more decisive now, much more experience in reviewing those protocols and CTAs and seeing like, does this work? I know we've talked about contracts and budgets offline before,
yeah. There's
and
a huge need
yeah.
for that. I think eventually someone's gonna get there, but I think eventually multiple players will get there. It'll just every white space, and I was telling your husband, privately, every white space is like a vertical. Some are untouched, but ultimately, I think they're all welcoming of multiple players. But that tech stuff, unlike the site, tech is a deflationary force, right? Like there's downward pressure on pricing. The more the technology gets effective at doing its own job.
Mhm.
And then you have new players come in, like your profit margins are my opportunity. Whereas sites actually benefit from all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then sites can grow and start doing more while spending less like internally because all these things get cheaper for sites to use too. So
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting when you have both, right? Like you and your husband are in a unique position because he's like the tech guy, you're the brick and mortar, and then me through my partnerships and YouTube and whenever like we meet people. And so we can kind of have best of both worlds. Like you
Mhm.
can develop the tech that you want to see, but then you also like are benefiting from the deflationary pressures of the market and so
Yes.
these things get cheaper. Like Creo, we use Creo, we love it. But ultimately it's gonna seem expensive compared to like new players. And I don't know who you use. I think you use real time.
Real time, yes.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, all these things are gonna drive prices down and
Mhm.
ultimately we'll get to like free eSource, free CTMS, and
Yeah.
that's not good for the tech vendors, but it's great for the sites. And
Yeah.
our budgets are not going down at sites. They're going up because still hard to get the patients, still hard to service the patients, and all that stuff. So wanted to
100%.
get your thoughts on that, like how the industry's changing and what you've seen so far.
In terms of like vendors for sites kind of thing.
Everything like managing your site,
Oh gosh.
because 2018, I mean, that's a lot of time to see change, especially with COVID in the middle.
Yeah.
That kind of
Hmm.
inspired a lot of change.
I'm gonna
And
try to not be negative, but I feel like it's so easy to complain
oh,
sometimes.
complain. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, I think protocols, inclusion, exclusion have gotten like out of
Yes.
like impossible is generous, especially for like COPD and asthma studies. Like I've literally seen them from 2016 to
Lana's got
2024. Lana, you
got
want
one starting soon. COPD.
Asthma COPD.
Oh yeah, and then Luis got
to?
asthma. Well, they're the primary on each of those, but yeah, they're tough. I tell you guys, they're tough. We haven't started yet, but IE is tough now.
Even if it looks easy, I found that, protocols are changing rapidly more than ever before than when you're conducting a trial. Like I feel in 2018, there'd be like maybe three versions in 2 years, and now it's like a new version every couple months. Like it's a lot of regulatory to keep up with than ever before. I feel like throughout the pandemic, we saw like changes in monitoring, going for those remote monitoring measures, differences in their training pre-pandemic and post, a lot of young people coming in as the older groups get burnt out. So I don't know if that's moving in the right direction, but
Yeah, but the pro of that, because I feel the same way. I have never met a site owner that likes difficult IE criteria.
yeah.
The pro is that becomes a barrier of entry for other people. And it sort of keeps you like protected in a way, like a moat. That's your moat, especially if you already figured it out. Like it does become easier. And as these tools get better, of course, I own it, so I love it. But Patient Ace, if you get
Mm-hmm.
enough leads, doesn't matter how crazy the study is, you'll get someone to randomize. And I do think the budgets have, if you know what you're doing, the budgets
Mm-hmm.
have adjusted for that complexity too.
It's true. It is true. They've opened up. They've been more accepting of your write-ins that are site specific. And that's what it is also really good about, like being a part of like a consortium or like some type of site network. You get to share those ideas, what's worked for you.
Are you
Uh,
guys part of one or no?
well, just SCRS. And then
Uh,
I'm to my first SOS meeting.
you gotta do SOS. Yeah, forget about all the SCRS stuff. The SOS, private
Yeah.
equity, I think, runs SCRS.
That makes
No,
sense.
they're not site owned.
I
Not
try.
anymore. Shout out to Christine Pierre, rest in peace to her, when she passed away. But I interviewed her back in the day, and she had like pure intentions for SCRS, and there's
Mm,
still good elements of it, but it's
yeah.
gotten a little too big, I think, for actually affecting change at the site level. And that's why I think we created SOS.
I love it. I'm excited to go to my first one.
But like as actual like site network, you're not a part, you're
No,
independent.
no, no. I am independent.
Okay. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Because a lot of sites now, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about should you join a site
Yeah.
network? Should you start a site network? That's kind of where I'm headed towards is like if all these private equity want to talk, why
Hmm.
would I sell to a bigger group? Why not you give me the money and I'll expand it?
Yeah.
That's like more the route I want to go. Whereas other site owners, maybe they're ready to retire or something.
Mm.
Maybe they just want to become a cog in the wheel. I don't like working for other people.
I don't think I can.
Yeah, I'm unemployable for it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants me to work for them. I'd be difficult. I don't think I take direction very well unless it's in the form of a protocol or the FDA. But I don't know. I mean, you mean, of course, Rob and I develop all of these tools to make it easier for sites to grow and maintain the things that are important, data integrity, quality control kind of things. So it does, in my mind, I'm literally making it easier for myself to grow. So it's like, when is that going to happen? It's just going to be
Mhm.
timeline for me, but I still have like a bigger passion of just trying to provide for sites. You know what I mean? There's not much. I
Yeah.
mean, you've opened my eyes to a lot of free things that I've been trying out, but I think that's more of where my passion lies, like making more tools for
Yeah.
sites. Whether it's because I hate, I sometimes I read a protocol or a new FDA guidance. I'm like, this is a setup. How are we supposed to implement this? Why don't you just create this matrix or training log or the exact SOP of what you're requesting rather than these guidances and minds being changed. So yeah, I like to make tools. That's kind of my thing.
And what kind of tools have you started using at your site that
Yeah.
like what are some things that you've already done with Rob that who for those that don't know, you should get to know him as well. I've had a few Zooms with him and super smart dude, but programming background and now AI is the next big thing. But what are some of the tools you've kind of developed that has helped your site?
Yeah. So like Rob's background, which is Silicon Valley minded, customer is king. We should cater to them, which I love. I am the customer, and how he has really adopted a tribe of like AI engineers to make whatever I want. I'm pretty spoiled. So we have made some products. Number one was like eligibility matching. I was burnt out, Dan, by reading tons of medical records. And you know how lengthy those are. And to be left with like duds at the end of the day, complete waste of my time, complete waste of the coordinator's time that I'm trying to save so they can do visits and bring in an income. So first thing we created was that um, upload a protocol. The AI can see and recognize and evaluate inclusion, exclusion, prohibited meds, and then uploading a patient medical record, whether it's handwritten, unstructured data, or structured. It will do a full inclusion exclusion match and provide reasoning. That was our big thing that we talked about at SCR West this year. And then we've just kept the ball rolling from there. Right now, we're working on like a paper consent form checker for those sites that are still doing it old school and staying strong with paper consenting, and just developing a way to automate that process of creating an ICF log and checking what versions have been signed, need to be signed,
Yeah.
even like dates that are incorrect or uh, fields that are missing that should have been filled out.
Is that like a tool you're actually using, like this ICF checker?
Yes, as of literally this week. So I'm
That's
running the
helpful.
beta right now and just scanning, scanning, scanning. Yeah.
That's helpful because we've had a few close calls of like patients, and I always tell the staff, I mean, my biggest thing is like make sure we know what version we're on at all times, especially. And
Ah,
we just switched like last week from because we have four staff, uh, yeah, four coordinators, one lead, and
mhm,
everyone was kind of just collaborating on every study, but we just switched it to where, and especially with the new studies we're getting, where I have somebody as the primary CRC for every trial. So
mhm.
at least that person should pay attention to like IRB expiration, ICF updates, those kind of things, because those are very easy to miss when you're busy. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like you're always told, hey, your ICF's been amended, make sure everyone signs it. Like, you're
Fair
just
enough.
supposed to know somehow.
Yeah. Like our SOP is we check every Monday, every Friday, the IRB portals for everything. And then if a patient visit is happening
Every
that day,
Monday,
we
every
check that
Friday.
morning. So it's the study coordinator's responsibility. You have a patient coming in for our COPD study, you check the IRB portal, you make sure that consent form is the one. And then I'm also double checking when the visit is over because I am
Wait,
crazy.
so you're the QA or lead
I
CRC or
do
what?
I do QA like when the visit is done before the patient leaves the building kind of a thing, like good Alcoa check, ICF check, making sure it's the right version. But it is the SC's responsibility. If you're doing a visit that day, you check the IRB portal before you do a visit.
Before every visit.
Before every visit, I'm not
Lana's
playing
listening. Future Vegas resident,
my
Lana Stevens, listening very closely.
I
Not sure
mean,
what Dan says.
well, especially with like COPD asthma, you're on your computer checking eDiary compliance probably to print out that report for the visit. One more website. Go to the IRB website. Done. You can sleep at night.
I love that you're on because they hear from me all the time, but it's good to hear
Amazing.
the
Not,
same
and if
thing.
not, you get long checklists you have to do that I like throughout the day. I'm like, oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta do that. And then it doesn't stop.
Doesn't stop. And it, that's
And she's our admin too, because we don't have an admin. We're in between admins. Our other admin went back to
yeah.
nursing school, so she's doing the recruitment, at least following up with the leads for right now. We'll eventually hire an admin again soon.
So at your admin role is like a recruitment specialist
Yeah,
role?
admin is like, well, Lana's the head of recruitment and CRC. Everyone's like, I go for their different affinities. Like
Mhm.
Luis seems to be,
Email.
well, Luis wants to be a monitor and he seems to be pretty good at like QA type of stuff, but he's also a CRC. And then Gracia, we're trying to figure out for her. Right now, she's managing our TikTok because she likes
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
That
She's in that age where that's like a big thing. But we had an admin.
Hmm.
His job was to follow up on all the leads coming through from all the referral sources. So
Hmm.
our organic ones through our Instagrams, YouTube, website, and then through Patient Ace and all the other referring
power study
stuff,
kit.
like, when a sponsor hires Power or Study Kick or whatever. So
Yeah.
somebody's got to keep up
I'm
with
on
all these things because it's every hour or something else.
That's interesting. Hmm.
You need an admin.
Yeah.
I think you need an admin.
So
And
I'm
then
the admin.
we learned a lot with this admin in the summer, and Lana was in charge of the admin. So
Gotcha.
his name was Anthony. He used to be the MA at the clinic we worked with. So I knew he was like not a bullshitter. And
Hmm.
I knew we didn't really need one, but I wanted to learn a lot from having him here. And he
Hmm.
did help us a lot. Like he was on it. And there was still a lot of free time that
Mm.
he could have been entering data. We didn't have him do that, but we learned for the future. He could have entered data. He could have bought dry ice. He could have done a lot of other things too that these guys are doing.
Yeah.
So the next admin we hire, they're going to do a lot. They're going to be busy. Like
How do you
just
guys do medical records?
create
Like,
the one-click button to retrieve, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
excuse me?
Not to like steer you away
My
from
heart stopped.
Creo. Creo, you guys gotta renew my sponsorship, guys. Ray, we gotta talk. Creo has this button. Once
No.
you consent, actually, Luis was like the best one at figuring that out. But once you consent the patient, you put like their zip code, and within a 200-mile radius, they'll look for the records, and
No.
you pay like $30 a retrieval, and only if you get it.
Wow. And like, how successful is this for you?
Sorry, real time. Can you guys still sponsor SOS though, please?
Like, how successful is it though? Like, I'm assuming
Very
you're doing
successful.
a
It's too successful.
COPD,
Here's
like,
why. It's too success. They send you like 100 pages back, and you could limit. I only want like meds, or I only want,
Medical.
um,
wow.
yeah, the basic stuff. You still get like 50 pages, 100 pages, and at some point, monitors are like, well, this is way too much. They're gonna be like excluded for a whole bunch of stuff. So you really just want like the most recent things.
Yeah.
And But you can just edit that yourself, only what's appropriate for the study, and then you can change your SOP. And
Mm-hmm.
you're only uploading in Creo what is relevant. You're not uploading their entire medical history. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
first of all, it's not needed.
Wow. Yeah.
That's PHI debatable whether that's even okay. So, but yes, record retrieval is like not a problem anymore. And when you do psych, there's not
Uh-huh.
really a need for that because a lot of it is done in real time, like through the diagnostic interviews or through the central raters. Or when you
Mhm.
do things like diabetes, doesn't matter what records you get or don't get, if their A1C is not a certain level, they're not in. So
Mm.
records are not as important for the studies we do, but it seems like for the ones you do, they are.
They are, because I do COPD exacerbation studies, so I'm so curious, Lana, are your new COPD and asthma studies, are you needing historical exacerbations? Or do you know?
Not
Uh,
yet,
not
but
yet.
I will get back to you on
We
Let
that.
me
did,
know
we
how.
are gonna need that. Luis is the COPD lead CRC, and he has the papers I see right in front of him. But yes, you need documented proof, but that's going to be Creo. And
Well,
our PI, those patients will come from his database too. So if they're not from patient ACE, if they are from patient ACE, we use the Creo one-click button. If they are from his database, we don't need it. We could save $30 and then we already have the records.
yeah. Wow. I wish you hadn't told me because it's gonna keep me up at night. Like,
I think real time is good. Listen, real time, we
yeah, yeah,
want
yeah.
you as a sponsor.
They're
So
gonna offer this soon.
yeah, let them offer it. Technology is a deflationary force. And
Hmm.
that's when they offer it, Creo is gonna have to charge like $20.
Yeah,
15. And then sites benefit off of all this.
yeah,
Right.
they do. Love it.
You just hired a site director.
Site manager here for the Las Vegas office, Sierra.
What's the difference?
Uh,
You're the site director
I'm
still?
the site director, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, site
Yes, I
manager, I
am too.
see it as
Okay.
more ops, like on the ground every day.
So like a lead CRC, or do you have a lead CRC?
I have lead CRCs.
Oh, you have lead CRCs.
Yeah, so my expectation is like
Wait, how many
every
staff do you have? Let's just go site name. Lana, by the time this podcast is over, will already apply
she'll be here in my office.
to
I
your
guess.
website.
Yeah,
Lana,
Oh
no,
no, okay.
we won't do that.
not yet. Give us like 2 more years with Lana.
Oh my gosh, of course.
Okay.
So I have three full-time lead study coordinators. So I like to kind of like you divide the studies up, but everyone is cross-trained, so they're backups for everybody. And then I have a as needed FLEB.
Mm.
Um, who's
Bottom.
Oh, flip. Okay.
phlebotomist, yes. She's incredible. Like used to work in like hospital settings. Like there's she can get blood out of a rock. Like she's incredible. And
Dang.
then two part-timers who one of them we both work on recruitment in different ways. One of them is kind of like your admin role. Um, but she also gets medical records for us. And then the other one, I'm scared to say negative things about real time now, but the other
Real
one,
time's great. We want you as a sponsor, SOS. We love you. I would switch in a heartbeat.
the other one is kind of cleaning up all of our patient database, like medical history entry, medication entry, so we can really use real time to search for patients. Because when we migrated in October, not everything came through accurately. So
Okay.
she is doing like data mining and corrections.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. It sounds similar to what we have. We have one lead CRC. So I'm the site director. We
Hmm.
have one lead CRC who's kind of in charge of the other CRCs because she has like one more year of experience than everyone, maybe a year and a half. And then
Hmm.
we have the three primary CRCs for each study we have. Each one is like doing 3 or 4 studies at a time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then everyone else helps. Everyone else is like the number two for that person on their study. So it's
Okay.
very similar. I think it's almost identical, other than our admin does more lead management and eventually they'll do data entry.
Yeah.
So
Data.
site manager being so your site managers look over just about everything. So she's
Mhm.
right, he or she is right below you
Right
as
below me. And so I haven't had a site manager here until now. So I'm kind of like giving up everything. There's a lot of cord cutting happening. It's a painful experience for me because I'm a control freak and a Virgo.
oh,
But
Ah,
yes. So yeah, she's gonna be in charge of QC, being that recruitment rein holder, like seeing what options are flourishing when we need to get more ads, what types of ads. Um, also getting onto the doctor's cases. That's a weekly thing that needs to happen.
yeah.
And yeah, just
If
like
you let a doctor like just chill, they're not going to do much. You got to be on them.
you
I always
gotta,
tell these guys, don't let go to your doctor, text him. They're all he right now. Text
yeah,
him, make sure they're doing shouldn't wait too long.
it's tough. It's tough because it's like depending on the person, they like being text or want to see you in person or want you to get them a cup of coffee or
We had a
don't.
monitor one, a coordinator to get them a cup of water.
Yeah, I mean, something new I started was like putting posters up and like being a little more demanding about like you've got to have these conversations in your clinic.
Oh, you're putting posters in like reminders to your staff?
No, like posters in the doctor's offices to remind
Ah,
doctors and
okay.
me a patient. Yeah,
Oh, like refer us patients.
prefer.
Yeah, no, you need yes, that you
Reminding them what studies we have and what that basic IE is. Um,
yeah, we're not doing very good at that, but each one doesn't have that many,
yeah,
so they kind of know. But as we grow, that's going to be a problem because
yeah,
I could see even some of our more experienced PIs when the monitor's here, they always ask what study is this for, and like I've already told you, like every time you ask me the same thing, but they need that reminder. Okay, and then it starts clicking because they're just looking at labs. They don't know all the details of everything.
yeah,
They're just checking lab safety and all that stuff.
yeah. Putting it all together with someone in front of them who is not a study coordinator is, yeah, it's tough.
Hmm.
I understand. Ours too. They're like that. Yeah.
Well, they're all the same, I think, at the end of the day. Uh, any questions you want to ask Maya? She's basically gonna give you the same answer as I tell you, but just you could hear it from someone else, I think. Maybe we differ on some stuff. I don't think we
Maybe.
differ on too
So I
much.
think we literally set our offices up the exact same way.
Yeah, without knowing anything about. I just met Maya last month
okay.
through tech, through her husband.
Oh,
We were
gotcha.
planning on some stuff, but it didn't work out. But we can still collaborate and things like that.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a couple of years.
See you in a couple of years. Hey,
So
you
ask me
will
that.
be hiring in a couple of years in Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. You already got your next job secured. All
Okay.
right, cool. Um, yeah, this whole thing about building the site network's more intriguing to me now than ever
Hmm.
before. Maybe that's something you want to look into. Now, are your business separate? Like your site in Texas and your one in Vegas?
They are. They are.
Okay.
They're not connected. And I mean, that is just something my parents taught me. I don't know if that is still accurate today, but the reasoning is, I mean, they are independent, not an SMO, but I've heard that, like, if it is an SMO, if God forbid the FDA audit anyone. No one wants to have to deal with that. But then
Mm,
the auditing is contagious and goes to all of the
yeah.
sites and
Have you
tags them
been
on and
audited?
by the FDA, no, I'm knocking on wood. I've gone
I
through,
just did myself.
don't hear us speak your name, but I've gone through plenty of sponsor audits, and that is enough. That is enough.
We haven't had one of those yet here either. One of these days. I mean, but they give you time. The sponsor audit's not quite as bad as
Yeah.
FDA. At the end of the day, the sponsors want you to clean up your work. FDA doesn't care. They just
Mm,
want to catch you,
yeah.
which is the main difference. Yeah, that auditing is contagious. I could see that. I mean, site networks in a way. I don't even not even sure what a site network honestly is because how is that not a SMO? And I
Oh,
mean,
I
it's
thought it was.
historical.
I,
Yeah, but they're not because like if you call a site network like let's say Alcanza or Velocity,
mm,
I mean, I guess the only difference is SMOs used to go into doctors' offices and use their SOPs to get that doctor doing research, right? And then they would manage it. And then that bubble popped. Site networks are like more established sites that join forces.
I see.
But then over time they like merge their SOPs too. So and the brand.
Yeah.
I mean it's really no different.
Yeah.
But whatever it's called, I'm more
You're
intrigued.
interested.
Yeah,
You're
or
thinking about
not.
it.
I mean, there's something like when you reach your max, I think we're nowhere near our max potential just in Yuma. I don't think we need to expand anytime soon. But if the money's there, like they're literally asking you to grow it and the market's hot, you should look into it. But I think once you reach your max where you're at or close to like how big you can grow, that's a decision of like, do you just want to sit on it and let it run itself, or do you want to actually expand? And
Yeah.
ultimately, that's a decision every site owner needs to make on their own. But it's kind of where I'm leaning towards right now.
Gotcha. Cool. I love it. So, who does your QA there? Is it Lee? Or who's that in the corner? Who's doing the asthma?
I think
Lee.
Luis is gonna be doing it soon, but it's the lead CRC, Katie.
Okay.
And I think it's gonna be a combo of her and him slowly, like gradual shift. We've had like remote because of Creo and everything's remote. We've had like remote QA people in the past. My first employee was
Mhm.
actually Samantha Anderson she now works at Dana Faber in Boston, but she didn't even live in Yuma and she was our first employee. She was basically QA, data entry, everything when I started here.
Mm,
So we've had like CRA Academy interns, CRC Academy interns do remote QA, but then they end up going to get hired. And, I think I would want someone to be local to do that, to be in person as well. And in Yuma, it's hard to find those people because no one has research experience here. So you just got to develop it yourself. The hospital does have a department, and we're basically the same size as them. As like they have like 4 people also. And I mean, we've interviewed a few of them, but I don't know. They have their own bad habits too that they bring.
yep. I always like to train them from scratch, but I mean, it takes a
Yeah, I
long
mean,
time.
everyone's gonna develop bad habits anyways. You might as well
Yeah,
just have them naturally occur than just import them from somewhere else. And now you got like everyone doing the same thing.
agreed.
Yeah, it's a realistic way to look at this. But all right. So what's next for you? Are you gonna expand in Vegas, like more therapeutic areas? We're trying to do cancer here, but
Oh my
I've
gosh.
been trying forever. There's one group that I know I can get, but I don't know. Somebody voicemail. We played phone tag. Remember that lady?
Which one?
Southwest Oncology.
Oh yes, never got back to me.
Hey, never got back. But we got busy too. So
Um,
Yeah.
What's next? Definitely growth, always in both sites. I mean, uh, trying to keep that database cultivated and flourishing is kind of what I'm seeing now. Like patients that we had 2018 to 2020, they are no longer active. So,
Hold on. You want a huge growth area? I don't think you're
yeah,
doing psychiatry, right?
no.
You're in Vegas. You're like in prime ground zero for psych issues. Like you got everything there. Psych. But that's gonna explode your head.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'll help you.
Lana's good at that.
There we go. Perfect.
I love
She's
psych.
the lead CRC on our two psych studies and then get a C on the other one. So yeah, psych is always in demand. Psych,
Huh?
when the obesity stuff, like screening ended right before summer, a little bit after. Our other diabetes one ended. Psych kept us busy in the summer. And now respiratory is gonna start. But psych's always I think psych is pretty consistent. Like, you know how other indications go through ebbs and flows?
Yeah.
Psych, not as much as oncology, but it's almost as consistent as oncology, and especially when you include Alzheimer's and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, what kind of psych are we talking?
Right
Have you?
now, we're just doing depression, bipolar. We could get into some skits.
Mhm.
And then Alzheimer's is always there, but I'm turning them down right now because we're kind of a little too busy. I would like to have an admin and one more coordinator to do like an Alzheimer's study.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of work.
You really got me thinking.
I know. Well, that's what I do, and that's what the podcast does.
Love it. I do love it. Incredible.
But we gotta maybe get you on a panel at SOS. Did you get your early bird tickets yet?
Yes, yes, I have.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
And we're excited.
Sure. Make sure you book a room at the Omni, no Airbnbs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%.
All right,
We're
because we're in the
gonna-
whole 380 rooms, so we gotta get those.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank
I
you.
think I might already be booked. I'll ask Rob, but
Ah, perfect. We'll think about a panel, maybe something tech related, because you've been building your own tech, which is you're like unique because your husband is a tech guy, like literally can build what you want.
anything I
Kind
want.
of
And
cool.
it is really cool. And then, as he's talking to sites or as I'm talking to sites at these conferences, we're taking any custom engineering requests. So we just
That's true.
finished an MR redaction tool for one site. Of course, I make the most requests. So we're working on a source QC tool because we've done that. Well, ICF is in beta testing, but source QC is next for me. And then if we could have something that made source along the way, that would be great too. And yeah, a lot of new things down the pipeline coming. Yeah,
That's good. Well, we're happy to have you as part of SOS Nation, and I'm glad I got to meet you. Can't believe I didn't hear about you prior to meeting your husband. I didn't even know that you had site and you're doing like 12 studies a year. That's not bad.
not bad. I keep my head down, just trying to trudge through it.
You don't really post on LinkedIn or you're not active on there at all.
No, I
I don't
need
even
to.
know if we're connected. Do you even have one?
I do. I think we are connected.
Okay. Well, then Maya's link is underneath this video
Thank you. Thank you.
and in the show notes if you're listening. Anything else you want to add? What do you think is the next growth area for what research sites would actually pay for? Because
Pay.
research sites have a long wish list. And then when you ask them, okay, well, would you pay this for it? They say no. So
We are so cheap though, Dan. If we can't get the
patience, it's really
sponsor to
just
pay for it,
patience. It
yeah.
boils down to patience.
But if we can't get the sponsor to pay for it, we never want to pay for it. So, but
Well, and
it's
the sponsor will pay for it to a certain point, but then you got to keep like passing the bill to the next sponsor, and then it just becomes annoying.
yeah, yeah. But hopefully there will be some way to get all of those patients that aren't responding to ads. For when we're ever doing presentations for Curie, we always say like only 3% of eligible patients in the US actually make it onto the study they're eligible for. So I'm always thinking about like, how do you get to that number? Do I need to like
Hmm.
outreach to doctors who have never done clinical research before? Do I like,
Hmm.
what does that look like? So
Well, I think you need a psychiatrist, and there's
for
plenty of them
multitude of
in
reasons.
Vegas. There's plenty in
Lovely.
Vegas.
If
And
you
then
have
we could-
Connect, I'll take it.
in Vegas, I don't. We almost started a site in Vegas in 2016. Me and Tiffany Bennett, who's our CRA Academy instructor. And we had an OBGYN, I believe, a GI, but we never really got started. And then Tiffany moved to Atlanta. So Vegas is like always, and I feel like that's the issue with Vegas, like kind of like a transient city. And you never have like stability, at least for research clinics. Like I've seen them come and go in Vegas, but I've never seen them actually stay.
Staffing is tough too. Like it all goes hand in hand because we have like the med school here, the PA school, dental, like there's school and there's tourists, and then the people that support the tourists. So it's not
Yeah.
like it's tough.
Yep, I think we need to just like share study leads and things like that. But absolutely, we'll work together, help each other grow. Lana, anything else? Your future boss right here, so just be okay.
I can be a lot of help.
Yeah, she can.
I
Yeah,
love
I'll
it.
give you a letter of recommendation, but it will not be valid until September 19th, 2026 at the earliest. Early.
Okay. All right.
Until then, it's not valid.
That's too funny.
All right, everybody go follow Maya right now. Her LinkedIn's underneath. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So much fun.